In today's society, a lot of us have internalized a special skill where we use a person's appearance to determine what gender they are. And we all know that sometimes it doesn't work out as well as we want. We joke about the times where we accidentally misgender a person because of the way that they looked, maybe from behind, or just they didn't look the way you expected them for their particular gender. And so you laugh about it because, oh boy, that was awkward. Thank goodness it's over. The fact of the matter is that this isn't always such a funny situation. For a lot of people, it can be very hurtful. For some of us, it can be a way to lower our self-esteem or make us just generally feel like crap. So, what I want to talk about is why we should stop assuming gender by appearance, and here's why. In this video, I'm going to be using the terms AFAB and AMAB. AFAB standing for assigned female at birth, and AMAB standing for assigned male at birth. These are very inclusive terms to talk about a person's body without labeling it in a gendered way that a lot of people may not identify. All genders, no matter what you're assigned at birth, have very natural variances. AFAB people can share common AMAB traits. We have seen this through AFABs having things like facial hair, general body hair, buff bodies, square jaws, so on and so on. AMAB people can also share common AFAB traits. Maybe they grow a little bit more breast tissue than the common AMAB. Maybe they have a petite body. Maybe they have a thinner jaw, so on and so on. Society views a lot of these as bad things, when in fact they're actually just pretty natural variances. There's also the fact that intersex people exist. Intersex people are people that don't have typical genitals or a mix of a typical genital and a typical reproductive organ, or a different set of chromosomes in general. A lot of people don't even know that they're intersex. It's a very normal thing, yet society treats it as a bad thing. Surprise, right? Gender identity and gender expression are two very different things. Clothes don't have genders, people do. We constantly give clothes a certain place for certain people. As a matter of fact, when it comes down to it, clothes are just a thing to cover your body, to decorate yourself, or to keep you warm. That's all there is. Why do we keep gendering inanimate objects? I will never know. We've proved that these things don't have to have such strict constraints with past movements. AFAB started wearing pants. They also started doing things like building and fighting and all these other things that aren't bad. Using appearances to determine gender can negatively affect society. It can imply that some people are less normal. If you tell a person that identifies as male that you didn't know that they were male, and that's why you call them miss, just because they're wearing something typically feminine, you're implying that they're not enough like a man to be called a man, which can be pretty impolite, rude, and invalidating. It further promotes cissexism. Cissexism is a term used for when people assume that all people with the same basic anatomy identify the same way. If you see a person with large breasts and automatically assume that this person identifies as a woman, you are continuing the cycle of cissexism. Just because a person has typical anatomy doesn't mean that they identify in the average way. It further promotes unhealthy standards for people. If a person wants to go out and be called a man, but also wants to wear a dress, society will say, "Ha! You're wearing a dress. We're gonna call you a girl, even if you don't identify as a girl, and even if it makes you extremely uncomfortable." And so this person who wants to be called a man has to dress and act a certain way just to feel comfortable, even though they're really not, because they're not wearing their favorite clothes. And it's so, I hope after watching this you'll think more about these things and try and understand where people like me are coming from, and maybe think twice before you gender a person automatically just based off of how they look. If you also want to find out how to talk to people in a non-gendered way, let me know. In the description box you can find out how to contact me to suggest videos, and I will gladly review them and hopefully make a video. So, see you next time.